Hello and welcome to the Eileen Silverman Show. I'm your host Eileen, and on this week's program, folk artist Ernest Lee shares his interpretive painting of the Island Grove gas station, and we learn how it has played a significant part in this area's history. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us for our program. Well-known Florida folk artist Ernest Lee has a gift for telling stories through his paintings, and we are delighted to highlight one of his commissioned paintings and share the story behind it. To tell us more, I'm pleased to introduce my guest, artist Ernest Lee, and Diane Adams, retired educator. And it's wonderful to have you both here, Diane and Ernest. And behind us, the painting we're going to talk about. And I just feel very proud about this. I do. And I want us to tell us, first of all, how did this all begin? How did you get to know each other? Diane, how'd you find Ernest?
Well, I know Ernest's wife, Gloria, when I taught school. She was at the same school that I was, Glen Springs Elementary. And a good friend of mine that I taught with had some paintings done by Ernest, some family portraits and some homes within their family. So I saw them at her house, and I had seen the painting at Ward's grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
And I had seen the Marjorie Kennan Rawlings home. And I fell in love with the way he told a story in his paintings and the color that he used. So I met with him, and I had several ideas about what I'd like him to paint. And we looked at some photographs and talked, and I shared my story with him. And it reminded me of a newspaper article about my grandma, Barney Abstein.
And go back and kind of tell us a little about your whole family's history, which of course, Ernest, you had to learn this history, because yes, you're saying, Diane, and everybody who knows and appreciates Ernest's talent, he has a knack for telling a story through his painting. First you see the painting, and then you learn all that's behind it. So he had to learn this story to portray it accurately. So just tell me a little. I know you're born and raised in Gainesville. Go back and tell me about Grandma and Grandpa, the Absteins.
Well, I was born in Gainesville, and my grandma lived in Island Grove, Florida, when I was a child, and I have two brothers, and we used to go and visit her all the time. We'd spend the night with her and go in her garden and eat her great food. She was a wonderful cook. And everybody loved Grandma Arnie. She was like the source of the family, the one that everybody really loved, and she loved back. And so I knew that I wanted something with her in the painting.
Right.
And then there was an article where my brother had interviewed her about some times in her life and about this store that she owned and ran in Island Grove. So when we saw the black and white photo that my brother had taken for a newspaper article about her life, that became the basis of it. It's just an old black and white photo, And
But it brought back all those memories.
it did,
Yes.
and Ernest could just start to feel Grandma Arnie.
Okay, tell us, how did it all start to come to you, Ernest?
Well, I read the story. We talked about Grandma Arnie, and I wanted to get to really know her as a person. And I got close to the story, and Grandma Arnie kind of took a hold to me. Mm-hmm. And we went in and we wanted to build a painting. We wanted something to be very colorful and interesting. So I wanted to have a painting that you look at it, and everywhere you look, you say, "Oh wait, I didn't see that." So we found something new and more to talk about.
Right. And there's so much good detail in here, and so many good memories this must certainly bring to mind for you. And okay, tell me again, when is this? This is set in what decade are we looking at?
In the 50s.
Okay.
In the
All right.
1950s.
Yes, I love this lunch special, 25 cents. I mean, these are of times gone by, but would you say that is an accurate portrayal of your grandmother?
I would. There are some things in there that were actually on the old building that we made sure were a part of it, and then Ernest did some historical research and included some things to add to it. The Coca-Cola signs are there because my mother collected Coca-Cola memorabilia.
Okay.
And that's a nudge to her. And then my father worked for the Shaw and Keeter Ford Motor Company.
Oh gosh, I remember that downtown near my parents' store, Silverman's. Yes.
So the old cars, I fell in love with the blue one first, and then the green one. And the one on the left has a tag on it, MOG, which is my little brother, Mike. His initials. His name is Michael Owen Gardner.
I've been looking at that.
And he used to sneak and get in the car and drive around the driveway when he wasn't supposed to.
And wait, and who's that little girl in the yellow dress?
That's me.
Yeah, okay.
That's me. And Ernest just suggested a yellow dress, not knowing that one of my favorite dresses was a little yellow dress that I wore on Easter.
We talked about the 2 degrees of separation. This
Yes.
is so interconnected. You're eating popsicles.
Grandma
Right.
always had food. The home-style restaurant, she ran a restaurant in there that was wonderful old Southern cooking, and people came from miles around to eat there. She loved to cook pies and always had her apron on, and that's a nod to her. And children loved her. Everybody loved Grandma Arnie.
Oh, I know that we're about to take a quick break. We have so much more to talk about and cover, but I know when you look at this, all those memories come back to life. It's very special.
It certainly is. Ernest did a wonderful job of listening to my story and
Interpreting
capturing the
Yes.
love. Yes.
Well done.
Thank you.
And stay with us. We'll be right back. We're continuing our conversation about the artwork of Ernest Lee, and I'm pleased to introduce Florence Turcotte, literary manuscripts archivist, George A. Smathers Libraries at the University of Florida, and we're glad you're with us, Diane.
Thank you.
And Flo, I know, tell me about some of the Rawlings papers that are part of what you curate at the library. I know Marjorie Cannon Rawlings is a huge focus for you.
It is indeed, Eileen. We have all of her manuscripts and all of her correspondence that was left behind when she passed in 1953. The Rawlings actually donated these materials to the libraries, to the University of Florida, as it were, and all of the lands and all of the what is now currently the Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings Historic State Park was in the hands of the University of Florida at some point. They turned it over to the state for it to be run as a historic state park.
Okay.
So, but nevertheless, all of her manuscripts and papers were donated to the University of Florida in 1950, and there they reside. So I'm the curator of those
Right.
of those materials.
So there's some very important papers in there. I mean, and she is such an important part of the history of this whole region. And for Diane's family, Marjorie and your grandmother were contemporaries, right?
Right. They were about 2 years apart in age, and they were neighbors. They lived about 5 miles from each other. And Grandma has told stories about Marge coming to her church, and on the painting there's a sign about Vacation Bible School at the Baptist Church.
Right.
And that's the church. Grandma said that she came when Mr. Abstein passed away, and she came when my parents got married. And I helped make the arrangements for the wedding, and I gave them an embroidered dish towel for a wedding present.
Oh.
So that I'm sure was very special. And Grandma said sometimes she would go down in a pinch when Marge needed help. She was going to have a lot of company.
Yeah.
And Grandma would help get about 12 chickens ready to cook.
Well, you know, it seems to me the Island Grove gas station was a hub. And I know, Flo, we were saying it's where things happened, where messages came, where significant information took place. You know, now we have a cell phone. Back then, calls came in to Grandma Arnie's place, you know? And so tell us about a significant time in Marjorie's life that revolved around this.
I think this painting is so exciting to me because of the stories that revolve around this particular place and the significance that this place had as a locus for community activity, but also personally in the life of Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings and the role that that Diane's grandmother played in that relationship and in the relationship with all the neighbors in that area. Right. There was no phone, private phone lines in Cross Creek, in Marjorie's Cross Creek home. So this gas station, if you will, served as a post office. It served as a telegraph office, and every telegraphic communication that we have with Rawlings through the Cross Creek activities that she had came in and out of that telegraph
so
office.
So all that body of papers
in Island Grove. And so every telegram that we have says Island Grove, Florida on it. And it came out of that building there.
All right, then tell us a little bit about that moment. What was it, 1939? Marjorie won the Pulitzer Prize for her novel.
Well, Grandma told my brother a story when he interviewed her for an article for the Orlando Sentinel about Grandma taking a phone call one day and said Margie had won some kind of prize and would she go get her.
Some kind of prize.
Some kind of prize. So Grandma had never driven, so she sent Mr. Abstein down to the house. And that's the way Grandma told it.
5 miles, down to the house was a ways. Yes.
Yeah.
And indeed, Marjorie did win the Pulitzer Prize.
She won the Pulitzer Prize. At the time, I'm sure Mr. Abstein did his best to contact her. However, she was at the time in Cincinnati, Ohio, at the Hotel Gibson. There is record that she read the paper there as she came down for her coffee in the morning at the hotel and learned that she had been awarded the Pulitzer Prize. So this telegram or this phone call was left unanswered, but eventually she came to Cross Creek and received the good news a second time in the form of a letter and a telegram.
Right, and wait,
with
a check.
$1,000.
Yes, and boy,
$1,000 check, which is not insignificant.
No, very significant. And I'd say it really put Cross Creek on the map. But what a
Put
good
Island
feeling.
Grove on the map.
Island Grove,
Yeah.
yes. What a good feeling for you and your family. I love the story and that it all took place there. It all happened there. And thank you, Flo, for sharing your information and expertise.
My pleasure.
Rawlings, we appreciate that. And stay with us. There's more to come.
Do they look good? Everything.
How's it
looks
looking,
good.
John?
Rolling.
We're back talking with artist Ernest Lee, and I'm pleased to introduce Elaine Carson Spencer, President, Friends of the Marjorie Canaan Rawlings Farm. And Elaine, it's wonderful to have you join us.
Thank you, thank you.
And you can see we have the wonderful painting of
I love
Cross
it.
Creek,
I love it.
as per Ernest Lee. When you look at that, I know it brings back a lot of memories.
It
And
certainly does.
if we were to take a visit to Cross Creek, is that really what we would see?
You bet. Yes, it's Marjorie's home.
And-
Marjorie's home.
One of the reasons we would see it in such wonderful condition has to do with your friends group.
Oh, definitely. As you said, the Friends of Marjorie Canaan Rawlings Farm. We are a group of board members, a group of friends. I mean, we have a friends group called the Friends of Marjorie Canaan
Right.
Rawlings. And it's a CSO group, and that's a citizen support group. And what we do is to assist and help with Marjorie Canaan Rawlings Historic State Park. That's what our goal is, to keep the mission. Our mission is to keep it going, keep the legacy of Marjorie Rawlings. And by that, we do a lot of events, different fundraisers, and we
Right.
have a lot of things coming up. But how I got involved,
Right.
listen
is
to this
is
now.
that is a wonderful story. Again, 2 degrees of separation. And so tell us about your dad.
Yes, yes. Well, my parents were Bob and Estelle Carson. And my father was a humanities professor at the University of Florida. And he did some illustrations for a book about Marjorie named Frontier Eden, a literary career about Marjorie. Anyway, one thing led to another. He had met Marjorie when she came to the campus after she won the Pulitzer Prize, the yearling,
Right.
and spoke to his students. One thing led to another, and so the University of Florida Foundation asked my father, would you be willing to go out to Marjorie's home and be a tour guide, a host, a host? He said, well, I have to ask my wife first, Estelle. And she said, what?
Now, you mean live there.
Live there.
Right.
Actually,
Let's
live
clarify.
there.
Live
Yes,
there.
live there. So back in 1968, It was the July 4th, 1968. My mother and father packed up from Gainesville, drove to Cross Creek, moved in her house, and was there Friday through Sunday. They did this every year for 2 years, Friday and Sunday. So my mother would give the tours
Right.
of the home, of Marjorie's home, and then my dad would be outside painting. And so as people toured the home, they would go outside and see my father painting or sketching things, scenes from the creek,
From the
her
creek,
citrus
right.
grove, her home.
And you have described your dad as a self-taught
yes,
artist.
he was a self-taught.
Yes,
Self-taught.
and Ernest himself. Yes.
So this is terrific. And when I met
Another
when I
association.
met Ernest, when I saw what he had painted, a yearling of Marjorie's home, I went, "Oh my gosh!"
Spoke to you.
So it gives me goosebumps. So this is how I got involved with the Friends group, and I've been involved now for many years.
Yes.
And became president, and because I have this love, this passion, and it means a lot to me to continue on the legacy of Marjorie. And then my father and the connection, so I can share it with my friends, my family, and now my grandchildren.
Exactly, and when you see how Ernest has kept that historical significance of Marjorie, of Island Grove, of the gas station, all these components of this North Central Florida, it speaks to the same thing.
Absolutely,
You know?
and I saw some work at the Yearling before, but when I first went down and I saw these beautiful paintings, and it was her father's. So we were talking, and she said, "Oh, that was my dad's artwork." And I said, "Really?" I said, "Those were some really good paintings."
And I remember being a very little girl and going to the Yearling restaurant and your dad walking around playing the viola. And I'd never seen anybody who went tableside and played music. It was all, and we were just about out of time, but coming up, 2017, a lot of celebration.
Absolutely. It's the 75th anniversary of the books Cross Creek and Cross Creek Cookery.
Right.
And the during that whole year event, one of our main things we're having, which I'm going to be helping with a lot, Ernest, is a paint out. We're going to have a Cross Creek paint out at Marjorie's.
And
in
Ernest will
home.
lead the way.
Absolutely.
We're going to take a
Is that a
break.
deal?
That's a deal. Y'all come on
Stay
down
with
and
us. We'll
check
be
this
right
out.
back.
Absolutely.
We're back talking with Florida folk artist Ernest Lee. And Ernest, remember you were on the show several years ago, and I think we ended the show where I said, "And what are you going to be doing next?" And now I think the question is, what haven't you done?
I know. So I went on and I won a Best of Show back-to-back at the Fifth Avenue Art Festival.
Right.
I've won several other awards. I've been teaching now,
Oh, where are you teaching?
caring and sharing.
Okay, excellent. Giving back to the community.
Absolutely.
You're on the board of the Alachua County Arts Association,
Yes,
right?
I am.
Yes.
Yes.
I've seen you, of course, at a lot of art shows. And something significant, 2013, you won the Stetson Kennedy Foundation Mother Earth Award.
Yes,
I know that's very meaningful. Tell us.
It meant a lot to me, and the 2 degrees then is that Stetson Kennedy was a freshman student and his teacher was Marjorie Kennan Rollins
I
at the
see.
University of Florida. And then that's just right.
It all comes
Isn't it?
back again. It
Yes,
does. The
yes.
overlap is so. And I know you have done talking about history and how it all overlaps. You've done quite a bit with the Matheson Museum.
I have, yes.
At the Cedar Key Art Festival, you've won awards there.
I won the Award of Excellence at Cedar Key, and right now they're doing the judging for the new painting so they've got a couple of my pieces that they're looking at that they may use, so we'll have to see, right?
Yes. And those of us shopping at Ward's Supermarket,
That's right.
your paintings there.
That's right. You go to Ward's and you see this big 8-foot painting, and it's a 1951 rendition of Mr. Bill Ward standing out there, and the original building, and we got the dirt, and we got the cattle, and the
It's
everything.
another
fresh.
interpretation, another slice of history through your paintings. You are a storyteller through your paintings. You have told the story of Rosewood also.
I have. I did before Stetson passed away. And Gloria and I went to Rosewood. We actually went when they went back, and the families were there. And so I had this painting, and Stetson took a look at it, and he says, "Okay, I gotta do this and that to make sure that we're accurate."
Right.
So he said, "You know what? This is a good painting." It was, so I'm proud of it as well.
Yes, it makes you feel so good, I know. And when I look at, seeing how proud Diane Adams is of what you
Yeah,
the painting you have created, the memory for her. We just have, a little bit of time, but tell us again how you brought all this around.
Well, I had the stories of Grandma Arnie. We started out with just black and white images, but I wanted to put color, tell the story. So I learned about her, learned about items that they had, like the Coca-Cola signs they collected.
Right.
So to make sure we did the Coca-Cola, make sure that we get everything just right. And I was really proud. And Diane said, "Oh, I love the blue truck." And then I did the green truck. She says, "Oh, now I love the green truck."
and just looking at Grandma, she's even in a pose that Diane found in a cookbook.
I was
Just
like,
a day or two
she
ago.
she showed me this. She
So
said,
intuitive.
and so she's in the cookbook and she's got her hand up like almost like this wave.
Diane couldn't believe it, that you just were so intuitive to pulling this out and just knowing it. It's a real gift.
Thank
It
you.
is, and I'm proud that you're sharing your gift with our little area of North Central Florida, Florida's Eden, and enhancing all of our knowledge about our history, our very important, rich history. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, and I want to continue to give back. I want to support the kids. We just had a great art show with the kids at the Doris. So that went wonderful, and Angie Terrell came out, and the Johnsons were there, and they had dance and
wonderful people.
drumming, and all of this stuff was going on, and so it was exciting, very exciting show.
Well, Ernest, I look forward to all that is coming ahead for you, and you're sharing it with us, and thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your talent.
Well, thank you, Eileen, and the best is yet to come.
Oh, I believe that. And I'm so glad you tuned in, and I hope you'll join us next week. Take care.